Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kenny Conversation, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high performance aftermarket car parts. Remember to go to jegs.com for everything you need to fix your vehicle up. And as always, they're telling me they have Jeep parts and truck parts in stock. Who is that man we're looking at? That is a legend. And you just ask Mark Richards or anybody in the dirt super late model world. That is Mark Miner. He is better known as Mad Dog. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kenny. How about you this morning?
Man, I'm doing really good, and I'm smiling because I know just enough about you to get me in trouble. And let's start like this. Your dad, Bob Miner, raced my dad at Lake Hill Speedway in Valley Park, Missouri. And that's when I first remember the Miners. What do you remember about those days, your dad racing?
Well, I remember my dad had this giant Plymouth Roadrunner, and what I remember him the most was chasing your dad, Russ Wallace, because man, your dad had a fast car, and my dad was a hard driver,
Hmm.
and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did I think I'm wrong, but I'm going to take it. What was your dad's sponsor? Was it LK Wood? No.
LK Wood, that
Yeah.
is that is correct. That was Dad's uncle.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be darned. I never knew
So
that.
yeah, it was a family association
And
there.
that was
Yeah.
a realtor, right? LK
Yes.
Wood Realtor. So they
Yep.
sold homes.
Yep. Up in South St. Louis, there, right there at Gravois and Weber. Yes.
So we're doing what we call a local tour. We've had Kevin Gundaker on. Now we're going to have some others on. Um, it's kind of funny, Mark, because Schrader and you and myself and Tom Hannock and the Jumpers, of course, that's another story. But we're down south. We're down here. Uh, Kevin Gundaker, Bobby Rigo, Mike Hammerly, Rick Canoyer, they're all up there north. They're in St. Charles.
Sure.
So you're part of the Southern gang. We're down here. Um, you are great friends with Kenny Schrader. Tell me about marrying into one of my best friends in life is Donnie Jumper. Donnie builds race cars, impressive race cars. You married into the Jumper family, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I used to go over there and help Ernie, help David, help Donnie in their shop when I was 15, 16 years old. And we just had a blast. And, Teresa come by me one day and I thought, I think there could be a match there, and maybe that'll get me in Ernie's race car.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you got a little Schrader in you. You're looking for a ride.
Yeah. Hey, I tried to follow in that son of a gun's footsteps, a good mentor. How about that?
Yeah. Okay, so we've established you're part of a racing family. Your dad, Bob Miner. You're part of our southern group here. We're on the south side of the arch. We're down here towards Memphis, Tennessee, and
Yeah.
and our other comrades are north of the arch, the Gundakers and all those. But I think where I want to start is what I remember. You worked when I first witnessed your great skills, fabricating skills. At the time, the best chassis builder in America was Glenn Bope, and you worked at Bope Chassis. Tell me about that time on the jig and welding all those cars together.
Well, that was a great experience for me, but what got me going there was Dad had a car from Glenn back in the
Mm,
day, and that was when your brother Rusty worked there up in Baldwin, Missouri.
right.
And man, I seen Rusty and his buddy Jeff Thousands welding up race cars up there, and I thought, man, this is what I want to do. And if I know how to do this, I know I can get a ride. I know I can race for the rest of my life.
So in your mind, I'm learning something right now. In your mind, you always wanted to be a race car driver.
That's correct.
Yeah. So when you were working with Rusty Wallace and you were friends with Kenny Schrader, did you ever dream in a million years that those two would go on to be two of the greatest race car drivers in America?
Well, I don't know how myself, I couldn't picture that, but I know them two guys were really good. You
Yeah.
know, uh, you know how Ken is. Ken Schrader, he can drive anything. Rusty, he was so to the point with what he needed to do, wanted to do, and he would get it done.
Yeah, I think you're kind of like that. You're a hard worker. My time I've been around you, you're a focused person. You're very successful at everything you do. So when you were at Boat Chassis, and you mentioned Midnight, or we called him Midnight, which was Jeff Thousand.
Right?
His nickname was Midnight because when it was midnight, he was washing his hands and going home.
Right on. Yeah. Hey, that's just the racing world, right?
Yeah, because everybody had to work the next day at their real jobs.
Uh,
They could midnight. And Jeff Thousand, everybody at Penske Racing right now. Hello, yeah, Jeff Thousand is great and was great back in the
yeah,
day. Yes, that Jeff
sure
Thousand.
was.
He could weld, couldn't he? Woo!
Oh my gosh, he was a great fabricator. I just watched him and Rusty and thought, I can do this.
Yeah.
But I was 5 or 6 years younger than them two guys.
What do you remember about? And this is a reminder. Now, I want to tell everybody that Mark Richards with Rocket Chassis, he mentioned you. We're,
Wow,
we're,
what an
well,
honor.
well, we're going to get to how great you were. We're going to get down south in a minute because your story is most fascinating to me. It's unbelievable, actually. And when we get done with it, everybody will understand. So here you are. You want to be a race car driver. What skills did you have to learn at BOPE? I mean, did you bend the tubing? Did you weld it? What all did you do?
Well, I would get the tubing out of the metal rack, cut it, mark it, bend it, and weld it. So, I got the whole gambit of how to build the car, the chassis on the jig. And then Glenn started teaching me about how to put bodies on, how the body affects the air, the handling of the car, and a lot of the geometry in the front end and the rear end of the car. Glenn was just another great mentor of mine on the chassis side.
What I remember about Glenn was those big fabricating hands, and he was so perfect, right? Everything
He
had to
sure
be,
was.
his stuff was meticulous, right?
He was, and I think that's why he had Rusty working for him at that
Yeah.
time. But and not taking anything away from Ken Schrader, because Ken, he's a fabulous fabricator. Also, him and I used to ride to work together out there.
Yeah. I'll be darned. So your dad's a race car driver. You're in this racing community. I'm learning now. I never knew that you wanted to be a race car driver. Now at Bopes, you're building asphalt cars. Now were these basically a Howe car? What were those?
Yeah, they were How Race Enterprise cars. Glenn would just put a little of his genius in them and had cars for some really fast guys. Rusty drove a couple of them. Dick Anderson, Jody
Mm,
Ridley. I mean, we had some top notch Freddie Fryer. We had some top notch guys in them, and that was a blast to get to know them guys. Dick Trickle, your hero,
yeah.
and what a guy to talk to he was.
Let's settle a debate.
Okay,
Everybody down south called Glenn Bop.
right?
Is it Bop or is it Bope?
Depends on what side of the line you were on.
The Macon County line, on the
Yeah.
other side of the Waffle House, it's Bop.
That's right.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. So, all right, let's keep celebrating your career. So how do you get out of the asphalt world? And now I kind of at this time I'm becoming a race car driver and I lose track of you. You end up moving to Georgia. What area of Georgia?
Douglasville, Georgia, which is about 25 miles west of Atlanta.
Fill in the gap for all of us between Bope and you going to Georgia. What was going on there?
Well, I felt like I had a little business opportunity down at a chassis shop there to become a partners with Precision Race Cars in Douglasville. Jerry Mitten was the owner, and he liked my skills. And I thought, you know what? I don't know if I have an opportunity here in St. Louis, which I may have, may not, but I had an opportunity to drive a car as soon as I got to Atlanta.
Hmm.
So, that was as wanting to be a race car driver, you go anywhere you could go to get to drive, wouldn't you, Ken?
Oh God, yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that's a fact. But we're celebrating you. So when you left St. Louis, did you did you have a conversation with that owner like I'll come work for you, but you're going to let me drive race cars? or how
For
did
the
that?
most, one thing he lured me into it by
Mm.
getting me a ride, and believe me, I couldn't drive a nail in snow, man. I hadn't raced but 2 or 3 times, and was lucky a couple times. And then, Jerry told people down there, "Hey, I'm bringing a secret weapon in." The only secret about me was that I was a weapon when I got on the racetrack.
Well, we'll just keep following this line of how you got so good. Were you now? Did you run asphalt or did you go right to dirt?
I went right to dirt.
I'll be darned.
Uh, the first one of the first places I run was Dixie Speedway,
Wow.
which which I had been down there. Glenn Pope built a car for Dickie Murphy, okay, that used to own Volusia County Speedway.
I'll be darned.
Well, the first time I went down south was with Dickie Murphy with his car. I can't really remember who the driver was, but him and Bobby Kay went there with him, and I thought Dixie Speedway was the neatest place there ever was.
Famous,
Different,
very famous.
yeah, different shaped racetrack, different kind of dirt. And I thought to myself, someday I'm going to race here, and I guess that's kind of what got all that started.
Yeah. So now we're going to get to the point where you won so much and became so good. This is me saying this, and
Okay,
Kenny Schrader doesn't like me bragging on him, but you got to give me a minute. What I remember and what I do know about you is during my NASCAR career, I came up for air one day to breathe and see what was else.
yeah, I
And,
get it.
and they said Mad Dog. I'm like, who the hell's Mad Dog? Mark Miner. I'm like, really? So you started winning everything, and you got this nickname Mad Dog. Let's go with that first. I'm sure you beat the hell out of somebody, but how did you get Mad Dog as the nickname?
Well, there's a couple steps of that, but the simple answer to that was back in the day, like Jimmy Spencer. During that day there was a lot of NASCAR guys that had nicknames.
Yeah.
Well, the guy I drove for, he had a couple guys that worked for us down in the shop that they were kids, 16, 17 years old, that they would roll with these uh, nicknames, and they would listen to Barney Hall and all them guys on the radio back then
Yeah.
doing that. And they just come up with it one day and said, "And there's Mad Dog Miner coming out of turn 4 for the checker flag," and that's kind of how it started. So it didn't have anything to do with getting into any fights, any tough driving, any of that.
You are so good to me. You're so nice to me. You're pleasant. But I do know that if something tells me to never cross you. Is that because I remember your dad was a tough ass? Uh should I never cross you? Are you a little bit like your dad?
Oh, you know what? This is what I tell people, Kenny. Here, see this here?
Yep.
There's 2 people in here, and you don't know who's going to come out. Okay.
I think I know that, and I think that's why I like to
Uh,
stay on your good side. And how wrong I was. I thought you got Mad Dog just because I kind of remember your father being a tough ass, and you. Well, okay. Now you're down south. Now we know how you got the nickname Mad Dog, and I'm sure those kids, filled in the appropriate nickname Mad Dog because they knew a little bit about you.
at times, yes.
Right. Okay. Now we're making gains here.
I can't tell the whole story at once.
Okay. So, how do okay, you tell me that you never drove a race car. How do you go from never driving a race car to winning all these races? What do you remember about when was your first win? What do you remember?
Well, this is pretty amazing. My first win was over at Granite City Speedway,
Oh my.
1981 on the 5/8 mile, right?
Mm.
Okay. And one of our local heroes, Mike Null, I
Mm-hmm.
was I was following Mike, and
Nozinski.
yeah, and I had a pretty good car, and come up on Mike, and like I said, I didn't know anything about driving. You get to him, and well, I may have spun Mike through the grass coming off of turn 4.
Mad
Okay.
dog.
Well, there was no Mad Dog at that time. You just bulldozed your way through.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. So after the race, I get out, and you remember how big, or how big
Oh,
Mike is.
yeah.
I'm thinking, this guy's going to kill me. I don't know even why I did that. And he's standing there and he waves me over with that finger. And he said, "Mark, you didn't have to do that. You were way faster than I was."
Mm.
And at that time, I thought, well, thank God Mike's a nice guy,
It amazes me that you come out of St. Louis, you're an asphalt guy. You get down there, you go dirt, asphalt, dirt, asphalt. You kind of remind me of Larry Phillips, where you're building your own cars and you're just racing where there's racing. Did you make a concerted effort to go asphalt racing, or was it just the tracks went asphalt?
Well, the one track, Sonoma went asphalt. And I built a car for a guy, Brad Sorensen. Okay. That's Reed's dad.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
Love this. Yeah.
So built a car for Brad. He went down to Sonoma and man, he run good. It was an old custom chassis dirt car. And I cut the front end off, put 3-link suspension on the rear, did the asphalt stuff on the front. And he run really good. And Ronnie, my car owner, Ronnie Dobbins at that time, didn't want to run another dirt car with Wade.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, Mark, why don't you just build you an asphalt car and go run Sonoma, and Livonia's going to pave and we'll go up there and run, which was about 100 miles away up to Livonia. Yeah. So that's kind of how that took place.
I think that's fascinating because you would never today. I mean, Bubba Pollard's the closest we get to where Bubba's a great asphalt racer, but he owns a dirt track. And But I do see a lot of these drivers nowadays when you really dig into them. I mean, when we interviewed Jonathan Davenport, he was on asphalt. Then he said, it just seemed like dirt was his way to go. And the stories fascinate me on how these drivers like yourself get to these situations. Now, one of the greatest Kenny conversations for dirt racers was Mark Richards with the Rocket Chassis. I want to ask you, why do you think Mark Richards talk highly of you? Where did you run in? Why do you think Mark Richards knew about you? He just mentioned you.
Well, I think it was because of the Bob Chassis situation. He worked for Rodney Combs at that time.
Ed
Mark
Howell,
Richards did.
yeah.
Or worked in between like a WRC. They would go up to Howes and get chassis, bring them back to West Virginia. But I think his competition was us at Bob Chassis. And at one point, he probably didn't know I did the welding, a lot of the fabrication work and what have you. So when he found that out, he's like, holy cow, I didn't know how Glenn did all that stuff, but now I guess we know.
Isn't this great? These are great. The kids nowadays, they mean well, but they just talk and, they don't show the respect. And when you put the dots together, it is amazing the way you guys built your own race cars, raced them. I want to get your opinion on nowadays. And I just dreamed this up because of listening to you.
Okay.
Nowadays, we buy the frame and cage. And once you get the frame and cage, you literally bolt everything on. There's bolt-on tabletry. Do you think racing is better off? Now, I understand, we walked through 1 foot of snow back in the day. It's kind of a joke, but what do you think of the way race cars are built nowadays? Is it better or not?
Well, I think it's better because you have more time to race. We used to just work our ever-loving tails off. We'd get a frame. I had my success on dirt in a master built, okay?
Yeah.
And we would go up to Indiana, get a frame, bring it back, and we'd have that sucker put together, have it painted, interior in it, put together to race in like 6 days.
Wow.
And we were just wore out going to the races, but that was just the way you did it back then. So I think it's much easier on the guys these days, which is great because, man, that traveling just wears you down.
Yeah, you're a happy man. You make me happy right now. You inspire me because when I present these conversations, I truly want to be neutral. I like what you said because I agree with you. I think times are better now. I mean, social media is bad, but yet we like it.
Yeah.
There's good and bad to everything, isn't there, Mark?
There sure is. Life is just a roller coaster, and you just got to hit the highs and lows, and there we are.
Yeah, I like being able to buy my cars right now from Nick Hoffman and kind of take it easy on them. You're right. My God, we used to melt our own lead. We used to go downtown St. Louis and buy an 8x10 sheet of Lexan, and we'd make the windshields.
Yeah.
We were wore out, weren't we? You're right. We were
You better
wore
believe
out.
it. Hey, you've been there. You know that. Holy smokes. That's probably what's wrong with us. What did you say? Oh, we melted lead? Boy.
The sulfur. Oh God, I would throw up. Rusty would say, Herman, go up to Childs, get the tire weights from all the tires.
That's right.
Go up on page to Jones and Lockhart, melt the lead, and I'd come back sick as a. So, oh, you're right. Okay, now this is the part that fascinates me. At the start, I said your life fascinates me. So now, in my opinion, you accomplished this amazing goal. You moved south. You do it all. By the way, where are your trophies at? Did you keep them or did you win so much you give them away?
No, I actually have them. I have part of them in my basement at home, and I have part of them here at the towing yard.
Good. That
So,
makes
yeah.
me happy.
Yeah, sure do.
Okay, so now I always say there's a turning point in everybody's life. It's like, how did you get here? What did you do then? Explain to me this turning point where you're kicking butt, you're doing good, you've realized your dream now, because remember at the start you wanted to be a race car driver, and now you're winning. How in the world did we start heading back home to where you are right now? Why did we come back to St. Louis, Missouri?
Well, started a family,
Mm,
Conrad and Candace.
yeah.
I kind of thought that they needed me at home occasionally. They needed to know their grandparents.
Mm.
And I got tired of staying in motels and in the truck, up and down the road. It's a tough life. And thought, well, we'll just move back to St. Louis. What am I going to do? I have no idea. But I know I can still weld and fabricate. But I wanted something a little more than that. So we started a tow company.
You talked about Conrad. I want to comment on him right now while you just said it. Sometimes I forget to say it and I let it go and like, darn it, I forgot about that. But Conrad is your son and he is a chip off the old block. He is like you, 100%. He works so hard. You allowed him to work for me for a couple summers. He is something else. And now I know he has a boy, and I know we'll get to that in a minute. But Conrad, I know you're proud of him. Did you tutor him along? Did you keep your eye on him? I know he went to college, things like that. Tell me about your son, Conrad.
Well, he always loved the racing. He raced a four-wheeler around the shop when we were in Atlanta area. But when we got here, he got him a four-cylinder, won 13 races his first year. Raced go-karts down there at Peevely, won several races. Got an A-mod, he won one race in the A-mod division.
Yeah, but it was
and
tough.
all the boys were there that weekend. So,
yeah.
And watching that, I cried my eyes out
Yeah.
that he won. And he does a great job, and he pretty much runs our business right now. He's the day-to-day operations manager here.
Okay, so let me just say this, and then we'll back up. You don't own a normal tow truck company. This is my opinion. You own one of the biggest. Man, when I see your tow trucks go up and down the highways here, I'm like, holy moly. These tow trucks are huge. Now, you do got the small tow trucks, but okay. Now, I just want everybody to know that you are incredibly successful right now. You are the envy to a lot of dirt racers, because a lot of these guys, they end up being vagabonds. I'm not going to name names. And we talk about this with Jonathan Davenport, with Nick Hoffman. You got out unscathed. You could have been poor. You could have been a vagabond. Now you are the hottest thing in St. Louis. Okay, now you're rolling back up the hill. You're coming back home. Tell me, how in the hell did this happen, Mark, this tow truck company?
Well, Teresa's dad, Ernie Jumper, thought, Mark, you're a pretty aggressive guy. I think, he had a little body shop and he had tow trucks come into his place. And he thought, Mark, as aggressive as you are, if you bought a truck, you would do just fine. Yeah, okay, well, we'll do that. We'll buy a truck and see how it works out. Well, 25 years later, I think it worked out. But it wasn't because of me. It wasn't because of Teresa. It was because of all the people around us. We have a network of people that has helped us phenomenally. Not whatever that word is. But
Schrader messed that word up too. It must be a Missouri thing.
It must be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the guys, you've already mentioned his name, that helped us tremendously is Ed Petroff. You know, we went to get into heavy duty towing business, and we would have really struggled without Ed's help.
Yeah.
What a
Uh,
phenomenal guy he has been to Miners Towing.
okay, we still have the journey to go on. I still got lots of questions, but let's start right there.
Okay.
Uh, Eddie Petroff is well known in the dirt racing world. He's known to buy, we lost Scott Bloomquist, but he was known to give Scott, a couple $50,000 motors. We know that Petroff spent probably millions of dollars on dirt racing if you added it all up.
Yeah.
What do you think made Petroff like you and work with you? Because Eddie Petroff owns a company like yours on the Illinois side, just right across the river. Why did he take a liking to you?
Well, Ed does a lot of work in St. Louis also, just to make sure we have all that right to start with. But
Okay.
I believe that he liked my work ethic, uh, and we were part of the racing community. The racing network is phenomenal about keeping everybody together, and
And,
that's what I think it was about.
and do you think, that I remember Bill Elliott one time, I'm in a driver's meeting, and Bill Elliott said something to me that I still remember to this day. He said, "There's room for everybody."
Yeah.
I think I find it amazing that Petrov didn't look at you as, you know, uh, the enemy. You're going to take some of his tow truck money away from you. Uh, but you're saying because you're a racer.
Yeah, and uh, he probably knew that because at one point Ed says, "Oh, Miner, within about 10 years, you won't need me anymore." I said,
Oh,
"Well, he is still growing, even
yeah,
at whatever age Ed is at. He's five
yeah,
or 6 years older than I am, but he is still hard at it. It would be very difficult to catch and run with Ed."
yeah, yeah. But that's cool
Yeah,
because I'm going to make a joke about this. So go with me. It's like my brother Rusty. Everybody says to you, they'll tease me, or some people are just mean to me, and that's fine though. Uh, my brother Rusty's great.
yeah,
Schrader's great, and I stay my lane. I know who the hell I am,
right on.
and so I like what you just said. Eddie's the man,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and you stay your lane. I like that.
You know, and you get people that say, you know, Herm, I'm gonna do all this on my own. Well, them people are as crazy as heck. You or I or Schrader or Petrov, none of us have ever done anything on our own, have we?
We
It
need
takes,
help.
yeah, we need a lot of help, and it
You
takes
don't
a
get a
network.
trophy. No trophy. Here you go. Here's a trophy. You did it on your own.
Yeah, you get the
Yeah.
buzzer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes a lot of help, and fortunately, we've been around the right people and good people all of our life.
So I want to go back to are you telling me that it was Ernie Jumper? Now let's talk about that a minute. Okay, so Donnie Jumper and Dave Jumper, those are the kids. Donnie Jumper builds impressive race cars. Dave owns a great automotive repair shop. Everybody's hard workers. But you're telling me Ernie was the one that said you should get a tow truck company?
Yeah, what a incredible story, because Ernie always motivated me. Seemed like growing up we were just broke, so if I worked out the body shop with him a little bit, and Ernie would always pull out $100 bill and say, "Okay, you guys go get lunch." You know what? I want to be like that Ernie Jumper guy, man. He's always got $100 bill. That's cool. So
and,
that was kind of my motivation.
Ernie doesn't know it. My wife will see Ernie down at River City Casino.
Yeah,
We work hard. We're stressed out. Nothing wrong with going down there on the weekend and having a little fun gambling. But I just want to give an attaboy now that you brought this up. Kenny Schrader credits Ernie Jumper. The great Kenny Schrader credits Ernie Jumper to everything. Schrader would joke. He said, the reason I went with Ernie because he paid for my pit pass.
hey, there's that $100 bill again.
Yeah, so we all have those people. So this is great. Ernie, and if Donnie or Dave are listening to this, it is amazing the people that inspire us, and that sometimes it's later in life
It is.
that we give them their due. I hope Ernie listens to this, or somebody tells Ernie that he has inspired Kenny Schrader and you.
Yeah.
That's pretty
hugely.
big.
Yeah.
So now you're married to his daughter.
Yep.
That's
Whatever.
badass.
43 years.
That's so awesome. Congratulations.
Well, thanks, Mr.
Um,
Chairman.
you got some pictures behind you, and we all see them.
Yeah.
Now, when let's go here now. So you're back here and you're growing the tow truck company, but you still don't got the racing out of your blood. As I look at the pictures, that when you get back to St. Louis, you say, okay, I'm not going to run a super late model, but I'm going to run an A mod. And you kicked everybody's butt and you won. Tell me about those days when you get back. Why did you run the A mod when you got back to St. Louis?
Well, we had a group of people that put me in a car.
Oh, okay.
So, you know how things go. I had a partner.
Schrader. Hey, partner.
So, through all that, you know how close we all are.
Yeah.
And, just got to racing and doing a little better down there at Peevely, I-55 Speedway, and had a blast and got a new car from brother-in-law Donnie Jumper, and that made that go better. And let's see, we won the championship in what year down there? 2012.
That's awesome.
We won the Pepsi Nationals in
Big race.
2005. Yeah. And that's when there was like 60 cars show up for that baby,
Yeah. Yeah, you
And,
reminded everybody you're still a badass.
well, the other cool thing, see right behind me there, Screven Speedway.
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago, Schrader got me a ride in Mike Vaughn's car from down there in Georgia. And we go down there, hadn't raced a car in 6 years. And man, we exceeded our expectations like unbelievable. I won the race and Schrader run second. And that son of a gun, Schrader got out of the car and he looked at me like,
What?
he had the biggest smile on his face, like his son had just won his very first race. And I wanted to cry because that's a true friend there.
I want to talk about that moment for a minute because Kenny told me everything about that moment. you know, I want to say this in a right way. It's weird, right? Because Father John that married Kim and I, he said, "Be careful, young man. Competition will kill you." You know, when we go to people's funerals, we're like, "Oh, I liked him," but boy, we roughed each other up so bad, and I think that's what competition does. So, you know, when you won that race last year, uh, Kenny had already made it to NASCAR. He had already done everything there is. He truly was okay with you whipping his ass, because I think we've overcome that now. That it was okay for you to outrun him.
Yeah, we didn't have nothing to prove. We were just racing for the fun of it for the most part. And I have a picture here of Kenny coming up next to me next to the car I was driving, and he's giving me the biggest hug, and the smile on his face and the smile on my face is priceless.
But I also think that that's a way of Kenny saying, "Hey, Mark's always been good. This doesn't surprise me, but he's been out of the race car so long. Holy crap!" So Kenny tells me the story that the night before you guys are practicing, and he says that you said the car was a little tight or a little loose, and you did some things here and there, and you practiced the night before. Well, tell me about that night where you shook it down. When you got in the car, did you have the jitterbugs?
Oh, you better believe it. I'm like, I really got pumped up for this race through a couple press releases that a guy did for me. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure I should have said all that stuff, or maybe not had that story pumped up so big. But anyway, just go out there and did all I could do, and it worked out that night.
Yeah. Well, that's really awesome. And I'll never forget that. Kenny was so full of happiness for you. All right, let's get to modern era. Here we are. This tow truck company, to me, I'm so excited for you because when I go up and down the major interstates and I see these tow trucks, whoever's with me, if I'm by myself, I wave, but I tell my wife, I said, "Look at that." I said, because I do want to go back to this. You got away unscathed, and that's what amazes me the most. How many dirt racers took it all the way to the vagabond end where they quit dirt racing. They won it all. These dirt racers won everything. They won Eldor. They won it all. And they're broke. Do you ever think that you got away unscathed? No?
Oh, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Everything worked out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Just got the right people around us.
Yeah.
And the right family members.
Yeah.
And it worked.
I'm so excited for you.
You know, one thing that I did want to say about the racing at Peevely,
yeah,
that maybe some people didn't understand or know about me, that we had a very skeleton crew back at the towing company at that day. So I would get all my stuff ready, go race, come back home, unload it, and go right back to work at midnight, and work till like 7 or 8 the next morning till another crew came in.
The race car was second.
Yes. And that's just what had to happen to make the race car happen too. Even though we had good partners on our race car to help us financially, so.
Yeah. This makes me happy. We'll kind of end on a note like that where Nick Hoffman, and I always remind people every 3 months or so. I remember dirt racers, we got to sell T-shirts to stay alive. I'm like, guys, that's a tough life.
My gosh.
And here's Nick. He's got elite chassis and he's doing it right. And look at you. So congratulations. I want to celebrate you as a winning dirt racer throughout America. I want to celebrate you as a incredibly successful man. I don't know how much money you got, but it looks like you're worth millions because them damn tow trucks, they're honkers. They're honkers, baby.
I think I own the lug nuts on them. The bank owns the rest.
Well, that's business. Here, Mark Martin said it to me best.
Yeah.
He said, Herman, there's a cost to business. Anybody that's in business owes the bank.
There you go.
Because nobody gonna just pay cash for a tow truck. And if you do, maybe you're missing out on taking that money and doing something else with it. Well, Mad Dog.
Here, can I tell you one more little story here?
Oh,
because it involves your brother, okay, Rusty.
Yeah.
I just seen him on Roundtable with Danny Sullivan the other day.
Mav TV.
Yeah, awesome program with him and Tony Stewart. But when Rusty was racing, he, like he said, had his head in the carburetor and all that. And Roger asked him, Mr. Penske said, well, what are you going to do after you get done racing? Well, hell, I'm never going to stop racing. And then after a while, I guess Rusty thought about it and he thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to do something. Yeah. And that's kind of the way I thought, racing is not going to sustain us all our life. Yeah. So that was where the towing came from.
Yeah. I almost feel like now I'm thinking about the NFL when all these players were making millions of dollars and they were broke immediately. And so the NFL created a college. Okay, we're going to pay you your $30 million a year, but the first thing you're going to do is understand money.
Yeah.
I feel like we need one of these for our dirt racers.
Yeah.
And I just don't want anybody to go through what I went through. I was so scared to death. Mark, my biggest fear was living under a bridge in a cardboard box. Just scared to death.
Sure. I get it.
Yeah. So, I'm happy you told that story because it means that, we learn along the way. And Rusty taught me, Dick Trickle taught me, I learned from Larry Phillips. I take quotes from everybody. Everybody taught me something. And you just shared. Oh, well, let me ask you this. We look at people that do good things because that's who we want to pay attention to. Besides Rusty and Schrader, are there any other quotes that come to your mind or just anybody else? It could be anybody. I mean, is anybody else?
I'm sure there's more, but them are the ones that just stuck with me over the last couple of days because that's what I was paying attention to.
Yeah. Yeah. Roger Penske told, I'm going to tell you this one. You've heard this one too. Roger Penske told Rusty, you better learn how to golf because that's where all the business is done on the golf course. And now just like you, you and Rusty golf more than anybody. Do you do any business on the golf course, Mark?
Oh, you better believe it. I usually 2 rounds a week at least.
Yeah.
So,
And do you take any of your business partners?
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have some scrambles for like the St. Louis County Police Department
Yeah.
and different benefits, the Boys and Girls Club of St. Louis, and so yeah, we get involved.
You do good things. And I just want to tell you, I got 2 torn tendons in that right shoulder. And that's why I don't go golfing with you anymore. I've got to bite the bullet. I probably got to get it cut and get the surgery on
Yeah,
it. Right now, I could probably just take a pitching wedge. Well, Mad Dog Mark Miner, you got anything else, Mark?
I'm sure I do, but this has been a great morning, and an honor to be on here with you, Herm. And what a great show you have. I've listened to all of them so far.
Well, thank you. All right, everybody. We've had Kevin Gundaker. We've had Mark Miner. This is the Kenny Conversation. We're calling this the local tour.
Yeah.
Mike Harrison, the great Mike Harrison, one of the greatest modified racers of all time.
Oh, you better believe it.
He's a man's man. I'm going to call him up. He said he would do it.
Yeah.
So the local tour is going to keep on rolling. Listen up, everybody. Remember, we are in podcast form, but we are over on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Dirty Mo Media podcast. So for all the podcasts, if you want to listen, go over to, you can listen to this on the Kenny Conversations are on Dirty Mo Media podcast. If you want to see Mark Miner's pretty face, just stay right here on YouTube. Until next time, we're going to keep on rolling. Mark, we'll see you later. See you later, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much.